Coming down to the side. We have it! She's going to get it.
Haven't got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Porsche Cup Challenge Europe. It's week 7 and it's season 4, and we are in one of the halcyon places in global motorsport. We are, of course, at Le Mans for what are going to be 2 fantastic races here tonight. This circuit celebrates its centenary this year with the 24 Hours of Le Mans later on in just about 6 or 7 weeks' time or so. But you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt and James Parfitt. JP, good to have be back alongside you. Missed out on what was a cracker at Sebring last time out at week 6, but we go into one of the most fearsome tracks, and also it's one of 2 tracks that span over at least 13 kilometres in total length per lap.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have a very long old lap here. 13.62 kilometres when motif work, and 8.46 miles of long straightaways, couple of corners, and even more long straightaways. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable, and one that I'm looking forward to, mate, to be honest.
Yep, a big thank you for everyone tuning in on the official JP Broadcasting network. And a big thank you, as always, to Blackouts Electrical Solutions, who are based in Brisbane, Australia, serving the South Queensland area. They are electricians. They specialise in both industrial and commercial renovations and fit-outs. They also provide analysis for power systems and replacements for switchboards. We're really pleased to have them alongside us along with us for this 4th season. But this circuit is fearsome. We're coming into the final few seconds of timed practice, and then we're going to elongate the free practice session. Samuel Sproul, do not come out of the final chicane like that, please, during the race. You'll probably have kittens and a bit of damage to boot as well. The number 66 backwards out of the final chicane, coming out of the Ford chicane. But we're going to have a 10-minute qualifying session where each driver will have the maximum of 2 laps. And with lap times in the 3-minute 56s and above, this is going to be quite a test for everyone here tonight, JP, because Le Mans, we know that this is a test of driver and machine. Of course, the invoicing stays very much swept under the carpet when it comes to sim racing. But these cars, we've seen them time and time again provide fantastic action. We've had flips and rollovers at Zolder. We had some great racing a little bit earlier on in the season at Spa-Francorchamps. And, you know, the championship's really hotting up as well, too.
Yeah, and we saw a double winner last week with Philip Hammer as well. So, you know, there's been a lot going on over this season, and one that is, you know, completely really something to get your teeth into, because the championship currently at the moment with Philip Hammer and Aidan Young is not too very far apart. You know, Paders is in there as well. So really, it's open to generally about the top 5. Realistically, I think anyone below that might struggle a little bit, but the top 5 really could be up there within the championship. And Le Mans is one of these circuits where you can go onto the Mulsanne from Tetra Rouge and you can make up 2 places. But then you go into the chicane of 11 and go on the second part of the Mulsanne, and you could lose them 2 places again. So it's going to be a very back and forwards race, I think, and one that these drivers are going to have to be smart. It's almost like a game of chess here. That last lap is going to be positioning your car to make sure you can get out through on age and make it through the Dunlop and everything else cleanly and out in front, because otherwise I think you could be in trouble if you're leading that last lap. I don't know if leading would where I'd be looking to be at the moment.
If you've got a train of about 3 to 5 cars at the sharp end of the field, then you want to be in that 5th position, because you're going to get the maximum tow. You're also going to get the side draft from everyone that you end up slingshotting past down the Mulsanne Straight. Back in the early days when this circuit was opened here by the Automobile Club de l'Ouest, who actually are part of the ownership team for this circuit, we're seeing that Thomas is actually going fastest of anybody in the 1st and 3rd sectors. here at Le Mans, as that is, I think that was the 992 of Danny Hugendorf we just saw for a brief moment. But looking at the victories secured so far this season, Vince Peters has had a 60% strike rate, 6 wins out of 10 races. Philip Hammer's been Mr. Consistency. We always know that. He's competed in all 12 races so far. He's had 2 wins, 8 podiums, 10 top 5s, 10 top 11s, 2 pole positions, and 3 fastest laps. He's currently on 282 points, just 13 ahead of Aidan Young. Vince Peters really has come to fruition and to form this season, and he's the most successful driver. As I said, 6 wins, 7 podiums, 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 3 pole positions, so the most out of anybody out of the entire grid. And he's had 7 fastest laps, most notably at Zolder and Spa-Francorchamps. We've just passed the halfway point after last week at Sebring, and the remaining tracks on the calendar will be Silverstone, the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring, Suzuka, Manicourt, and Long Beach will be the season finale for Season 4. Of course, there is also the Americas League that goes on very early in the morning, or very late in the evening on a Thursday night here on JP Broadcasting. And at the moment, in terms of the amateur side of things, Alexander Vilfort looks to be leading the way in the amateur class at 161 points, ahead of Niall Killen. Bjorn Ritter, Kenny Eckert, and Noah Vents round out the top 5 in the championship. But it looks like Daniel Thomas has really gotten that car set up nicely, as we're 40% of the way through this 10-minute qualification session. He really is on the cusp of having a really, really good lap. We saw that Thiago Pereira in the practice session was running in the mid 3-minute 56s, as Thomas makes his way through down out of the Porsche curves, now through into the final chicane here, the Ford chicane. And what's the lap time going to be? It's going to be rather close to Pereira's fastest lap in free practice, but at that point they don't have to worry about track limits. And just seeing what lap time that brings in, 3-minute 58.5 for Daniel Thomas. Alexander Vilfort is going to be crossing the line, so does Christian Rosica. Rosica goes second. Jaime Fierro goes third place overall on 4-minute 1.38. Then Beckham Jasir goes second. Another driver that's broken the 4-minute bracket, Stephen Eckenrode, who's just welcomed a new addition to the family, I believe. So congratulations to you and the family, Stephen. Looks like everything's been sorted out expediently with the discharge from hospital, and he's now back in the saddle behind the wheel of his sim. But yeah, Daniel Thomas showing the early hand, but just waiting for Vince Peters to come across the line. Aidan Young goes P3. Philip Hammer's put in a lap time, but that was a casual lap there. Nicholas Seitz goes up into P4. Corey Lazarus now 7th. I don't think that lap time for Vince Peters didn't register, did it?
No, it did not register. The problem is you're going to get maybe 2 laps. Now, what they did initially at the start is they didn't have them coming out of the pits. They had them coming out the back after the pits and before the chicanes, just to basically say to them, you've still got your 2 laps, but you are going to be green from that moment you hit that start. They didn't put them in the pits because otherwise they would have had to go round once and then go round again, and they would have got literally the out lap and 1 fast lap. This way, it gives them the opportunity to get 2 laps in. The problem is for Vince Peters is that lap did not go well. So at the moment, he hasn't got a time on the board, which is going to be an interesting one, because I don't think he's going to be too worried, just purely because of the lengths of the straights. And, you know, we know Vince Peters has got skills. He's got driving ability. He can overtake, and he can probably make it through and well into the top 10, I would have thought, before the end of the race. But it's just, I don't suppose it's a position that you want to have to try and do. I think from him it would have been better to be a little bit further up, you know, up the grid, especially with Daniel Thomas purple again, and he's on a 358.5. So you really want to be at the front if you can help it here. Yes, they've got long straights, but that comes with its own jeopardy. 3 wide, we've seen it before. You know, there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, especially if anyone might remember Alan Manish's massive crash trying to go for the lead through underneath the Dunlop Bridge That's one thing we want to avoid. But Daniel Thomas, again, is just setting the timesheets purple right now. He's put in a 3-minute 58.53 once again. So everyone is just going to be, they've got to be eyeballs on stalks. And also with the length of this circuit, we're going to find out with the Nordschleife in just a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be exactly the same, that qualifying might not be the be-all or end-all towards what your racing is going to be like. Jordan Strudwick, in the meantime, in the 100 has gone second. Beckham Jasir goes down to third. Philip Hammer. So we haven't seen laps from Danny Hugendorn, Holger Miefer, Thiago Pereira, Samuel Sproul, who did his self-induced spin, and that is Christian Hegevald, who is in the barriers. That is off of the Porsche curves.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's... I don't know if that's what we're seeing now. I've got a funny feeling with Christian, he's actually sat there waiting, because that's where they're starting from on the lap. So I don't know if he's gone back to garage, and that's where he's put him. Of course, if he's only pressed it once, it will put him on the side of the road and not actually in the pit box. So I'm wondering whether or not, because that's where he's starting from, that's where he's actually sat. But Dan Thomas goes across the line.
Oh, another lap. Another good lap, 356.92. He's, you know what? I mean, Thomas is absolutely nailing qualifying. Christian Rosica is in second position. But Beckham Jasir goes top of the timesheets and goes nearly half a second quicker, 3-minute 56.48. Samuel Sproul now jumps up into ninth. Aidan Young back up into third. Torsten Seifert, the number 76, now up into P8. So 20 drivers have got laps on the board, including Philip Hammer. But Holger Miefer, Byron DeBello, Niklas Nolde, who we now see back, the Dor Esports driver, goes third, 3-minute 56.98, 6 100ths behind Daniel Thomas. Philip Hammer now responds, goes P4. Vince Peters now puts in a lap time with just around about a minute on the clock remaining, goes P6, 3-minute 58.49. So Holger Miefer has yet to set a lap time. Byron DeBello, I think, has just had an off track. Kenny Eckert has decided not to go through with it in qualifying. And then Glenn Humberstone in the 212 has also gone pretty much 95% of the way around the lap. There is Aidan Young, one of the youngest competitors actually in this field. And, to still have a solid, I mean, even though the fact is the top 3 covered by half a second, JP, and then the top 5 covered by a second and a half. That's it for Qualy, but Beckham Jasir has just put it on pole position for the sprint race, and then we've got a slightly elongated feature, but here's your starting grid. We've got Beckham Jasir, Daniel Thomas, Niklas Nolde, Philip Hammer, Aidan Young, Vince Peters, Christian Rosica, Thiago Neves Pereira, Danny Hugendorn, and Jordan Strudwick rounding out the top 10. Torsten Seifert, Jaime Fierro. Good to see Salvatore Guariento back on the grid. He's 13th, head of Samuel Sproul, Nicholas Seitz. Then we've got Niall Killen, Corey Lazarus, Alexander Vilfert, Alexander Redhead. Stephen Eckenrode rounding out the top 20, completing the 26-strong grid at the first race out of 2 here for round 7. It's Christian Hegevald, Holger Miefer, Kenny Eckert, Byron DeBello, and Glenn Humberston.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one here, how these drivers are going to get in. It's going to be interesting to see Nicholas Nolde as well, see what he's able to do here on the grid. Now, we've got Zach Sweeney in chat as well, and Phil across the pond. Welcome in, Phil. Lemons is too long of a circuit to fluff up a lap. Really hurts a quali session. There we go. Definitely does that.
That's very, very true. Well put there, Zach. As always, he's one of our commentary team here at JPB, and they'll be on some of the broadcasting over the next few weeks and months and so on and so forth. But we are just waiting for our pole sitter and also Philip Hammer and Aidan Young to grid up and get ready. A few more drivers yet to jump on the grid, but once that happens, our pole sitter now just jumps onto his slot. Philip Hammer yet to join. Neither has Christian Hegevald. Byron DeBello has just jumped on the grid. So once this all transpires, we will have 26 Porsche Carrera Cup cars ready to go on the run down to the opening few corners here at Le Mans for round 7. Week 7 of season 4. The lights are going to start to ignite, and when the 5 lights go out, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th lights are out, and we are underway here at Le Mans. And straight away, Vince Paters, I think, pulled to the outside. We've already had a collision, and someone's into the barriers. Oh, dearie me. Everything's kicked off, and we've not even made it to corner 1. That's not what you wanted. Up the hill for the first time, Beckham just here, trying to fend off Daniel Thomas. As they're going to go through underneath the Dunlop Bridge, down into the Chapelle, the descent here at the La Chapelle, and then through in towards Tetra Rouge very, very shortly. And Daniel Thomas has got Aidan Young round to his outside for P2. But through Tetra Rouge, look at the advantage already that Beckham Jassir has got. That's over 1.2 seconds as they head down the Mulsanne for the opening lap.
Yeah, that unfortunately involved Salvatore Gorianto is into the pits. Corey Lazarus was involved in that one as well. Alexander Wilfer, all involved. Holger Mifa, Jaime Ferrero, all involved at the beginning. And it was a little bit of a chaotic start. It looks like somebody spun up there as well, but it looks like Nicholas Nolder. Oh, no!
That was a hit. Oh, and Thomas has just lost it on the straight.
Oh.
And is he going to get collected? Yes, he does. He gets big time collected. That was Danny Hugendorn into the back end of him. Oh, dearie me. And it's just, I have no words right about now. I have absolutely no words. This is not Le Mans. This is Wreckfest.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that one, but Daniel Thomas, Danny Hugendorn, Christian Rizika, all involved in that. I'm not entirely sure what the move from Thomas was on the straight into Nolder there that caused all that. A little bit bizarre, but there we go.
It looked to be a little bit of a hip check between the pair, because Nolder was looking to the inside, going through into the next chicane. Thomas saw him, was like a scared cat in the headlights, and then I think trying to close the door, but the back end just stepped out on him. And now Nicholas Nolder is closing in on Aidan Young for P2. Whilst this has all been happening, Beckham Jassir going into Mulsanne has got a 1.6 second advantage. And this is where you're going to have to be a bit brave on the brakes. Nolder hangs back from Aidan Young. There's Vince Paters in 4th position. As Aidan Young runs a little bit wide coming out of Mulsanne, that's going to open the door for Nolder and for Paters. Paters in the slipstream of the number 9 from Door Esports. So Vince Paters, the most successful driver this season in terms of overall race victories, is right on the back bumper. They're both going to side draft past Aidan Young, who's going to drop down into 4th position and be at the mercy of Jordan Strudwick. But Nolder and Paters are bumper to bumper, and they're going to be heading down into Indianapolis very, very shortly. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? Nolder stays in front for the minute, and Young was... I think Aidan Young was very well strategically placed, because he thought, well, I'm just going to let them go past. Now he's going to go up the inside through into the next corner. And that just meant that Vince Paters didn't really have an answer for it. That was through Arnage. But, yeah, I mean, Danny Hugendorn in the pits. Jaime Fierro, Salvatore Guariento. Glenn Humberston's just had an off-track as well. He was in the top 15. He's dropped out of it. And he's dropping all the way down. Mistake there from the race leader, because now Beckham Jassir is in 3rd place. Nicholas Nolder's got the race lead. 6/10 as they go through the Porsche curves. And Vince Paters has got to start building ahead of steam to try and catch the number 9 from Door Esports, who leads the way. Beckham Jassir now ahead of teammate Aidan Young. Jordan Strudwick is in the ringside seat in 5th position. And the gap between Strudwick and Philip Hammer is close to getting towards 3 seconds.
Yeah, that first lap has been somewhat of a bit chaotic. You can see the gainers and losers on the left-hand side there as well. DeBello up 10, Milfer up 12. Humberston at one point was up 15 places. But unfortunately, yeah, he had that mistake and has dropped himself back down again. But he was at the back, like literally near enough plumb last. And now he's managed to move all the way through just purely because of that chaos. You know, Thomas, Hugendorf, Ruzicka, Redhead, Eckert, Fierro, Wilfer, Lazarus, all involved in incidents right at the beginning. And some of them didn't even get off the line. That was the most bizarrest thing we've watched, I think, this season.
Yeah, Corey Lazarus was actually into the left-hand side wall as he got away from the start, got a turnaround, and then that was all she wrote for the New Zealander. But you can just see how close the top... Well, I mean, Nicholas Nolder's bolted. Nolder has bolted. It's now his race to lose. We're about nearly a third of the way through this 15-minute sprint race. We're on to, we're not even 20, we're about 20% through this particular part of the race, as now Peters gets Beckham Jasir is not having a great time out there. I'm not too sure if the mistake that Beckham Jasir made might have caused some inadvertent damage, which will affect the top speed of the Porsche. And these cars can probably hit the best part of well over 170, 175 miles an hour before going hard onto the brakes into one of the Hunodias, which are effectively the chicanes down the Mulsanne Straight. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, Nolde absolutely timed his run to strategic perfection right about now, and Beckham Jasir still battling away. This is for 7th place with Nicholas Seitz in the number 689, who's made up 7 positions. It's a little bit further up the order. Oh, Jordan Strudwick went to the outside of Aidan Young. He's stolen 2nd position from the 427, who's got it straight back. They're swapping more positions than I've had Sunday roast dinners, James.
Yeah, they are. They're backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. I'm wondering with Beckham Jasir, right? I'm not thinking he might have damage. I'm wondering if he's copping slowdowns at certain points of the track, because nothing is showing up that he's had an incident. I'm wondering if that's his problem, is he's picking up slowdowns. As we can see, Strudwick literally attached to Aidan Young practically as they're coming down into turn 14 and 15 at the end of the second part of the Mulsanne, of course. But I'm wondering if that's where Jasir's having his problems, is he's not copping damage, he's copping slowdowns, and that's why he's having to hit the brakes, and that's why he's dropped all the way back down into 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, Nicholas Seitz is closing in on Thiago Pereira in the number 41 for 8th position at the minute. Mark de Bruyn closing in on Byron de Bello, who started 25th, now rounds out the top 15. Again, the positions are changing for 2nd as it's side by side between Aidan Young as Jordan Strudwick looks to the inside move. He gets through in the run in towards Indianapolis. That was a great move there by Jordan Strudwick, just timed it nicely. Now they've got the 90 right coming up at Arnage. And Philip Hammer has made his way up. Well, he started 4th. He dropped down a few positions to the current reigning defending champion. And he's got Vince Peters right on his rear. Yeah,
he definitely has. Mark de Bruyn as well was also locked in here at the same time with Brian de Bello. De Bello's just gone past him in the arms. I want to go back up front because Strudwick is still fighting away with Aidan Young. And behind that, Hammer and Peters are still neck and neck as well. These front 2 groups are imperative that they can try and stay in front if they possibly can going into what is the 30-lap feature, because obviously the top 8 reverse. If you're sitting, it's like anything, if you're sitting 4th, you're going to be in the middle of the pack. You've got a better chance of taking the win, but there are so many people in front of you at the same time, but it's a better opportunity than sitting in the 8th place where Nicholas Nolde will be. As you can see, Strudwick sits in behind Aidan Young again, so Aidan Young now takes 2nd place.
Yeah, Nicholas Nolde actually took the opening win of the season back at Brands Hatch, and then that dynamite battle, and there is a problem. There is a problem for Jordan Strudwick. Might have had a slowdown in his own right, and that allowed Philip Hammer and Vince Peters and now Beckham Jasir to get through. So looks like Jordan Strudwick did have a slowdown penalty. He was right on the back of Aidan Young, and then the slowdown has caught him out. And this is the battle for P3 on the road. About 2 seconds adrift from Aidan Young, who now has got some clear air between himself and these two. So Philip Hammer, new change of livery for this particular round since I was about for the last time I was in the booth with you, buddy, back at Spa-Francorchamps during the double header for Belgium. And yeah, I mean, just seeing these cars coming through Tetra Rouge and then going down onto the Mulsanne, it's just such a glorious sight and sound, all being told. Yeah, it definitely is, and it's one that these good drivers are able to run and, give it almost the terminology of give it some beans. Do you know what I mean? The speeds are down in the bottom right-hand corner, currently topping 170, 175. Sprinkling up and down there as well. You can see it between Hammer is redlining that car. That's why we've got the flicker backwards and forwards currently at the moment as well, as he drops all the way down. So 177, roughly what they're looking at in regards to pace. And that is just some incredible speed in these cars. And they've just got to be careful. We've seen it over the first few laps, unfortunately. Well, we saw it before we'd even get off the start, to be honest. No driver aids. I think that's the thing. They can't just hammer the power down and expect the front wheels to grip. They haven't got super glue on them. They're not eating in heated blankets. There's nothing when they get on the grid. And I think that's what's caused a lot of the beginning. Yeah. And we see this battle for third place continue onward. Beckham Jasir, however, has started captain, has caught them up big time. His last lap was a 4-minute 4.54. Philip Hammer was in the high 3-minute 59s, but Nicholas Nolder with clear air was just put in the fastest lap of the race of 3-minute 57.36. And one of the other things about these Porsche 902 GT3 Cup cars, they're actually comprised of, the body is comprised of 70% aluminium and 30% steel, allowing the weight to be kept down just over 1,250 kilos. And when they're pushing out over 500 brake horsepower, we're now going to see an idea of the telemetry from Beckham Jasir, as now Vince Peters is looking to try and pull alongside Philip Hammer, and he has done exactly that. They've got the run down to Indianapolis. Hammer will have the inside for that corner, but then Peters might be able to get the switch back. No, he's just powered past him, just through sheer slipstream and side draft. So Vince Peters now up into third position, whilst he and Hammer are squabbling on their way through Indianapolis, now into the run into Arnage. Beckham Jasir has got the ringside seat, little bit of kick up of the gravel by Vince Peters by the right rear tyre, but that hasn't stopped him from trying to catch Aidan Young. And between Aidan Young, Vince Peters, Philip Hammer and Beckham Jasir, it's just over 1.6 seconds combined.
Yeah, it definitely is here. Aidan Young could do a massive favour to Beckham Jasir if he thought about it. He's at the beginning of the pack. He's not obviously going to want to back him up on the straight, because that's very, very dangerous. But going out through Porsche curves, Corvette curves and down into the Ford chicane, he could do a little bit of a job here without jeopardising his own race, really. And you know, just take an extra lift if he wants to pull him into him, and you know, be a little bit smart about it, but just don't put yourself under jeopardy by trying to do it in the first half of the lap. Do it in the second half. You've got more twists and turns there. I'm sure they're probably in a voice chat talking about what's going on. So he can be a little bit clever here, Aidan Young, if he thinks about it, and just backs them up a little bit, you know, little bit. But we are on the final lap, and Nicholas Nolder is currently out in front at the moment of time. But Beckham Jasir can get involved with Philip Hammer and Vince Peters here if he can get through this first part of this lap.
Yeah, Nicholas Nolder's lead is now stretching to around about 6.3 seconds. Beckham Jasir now pumps in the fastest lap of the race, 3-minute 56.87 for the number 912. And still this battle rages on. It's it's about one second or so between Young, Peters, Hammer and Jasir. Jasir's got the ringside seat, just waiting. He's got to be very, very careful as the 912 in order to not have a possibility of another slowdown penalty, because that would put him out of the running for the remaining two spots in the top three, as Vince Peters, coming out of Tetra Rouge, now really has the run, going down towards the first chicane here down on the Mulsanne. He's looking one way, he's looking the other. He's keeping Aidan Young guessing right now, and he's right up the rear exhaust pipe of the flat six boxer engine that's attached to the rear axle of Aidan Young. Peters look to the outside. Young just shut the door rather nicely, gets it nice and neat through the chicane. But Vince Peters again will be back on the counter offensive, and he's got to watch his rear view mirrors, because right on his six are the pair of the number 60 of Philip Hammer and the number 912 of Beckham Jasir. This is going to be absolutely crucial, and look how close to Aidan Young is Vince Peters. Vince Peters is now starting to use the headlight flashing tactic to try and distract Aidan Young ever so slightly, but it's not working at this moment. Down into the final chicane here at the Mulsanne before the run into Mulsanne corner, and this is an absolute freight train. It's being led by Aidan Young, and this is entertaining because we've only got a minute left on the time. This is the final lap of this first of two races, and Nicholas Nolder is a mere shadow into the distance. And Vince Peters again, he's just keeping Aidan Young guessing. When is he going to strike, James?
I don't know, but he needs to be doing it rather sharpish, I think, because when Beckham Jasir's taking a dive at Philip Hammer.
He's got through.
Yeah, they're going to make almost contact, but it's now going to be a drag race down into Indianapolis here. Jasir on the left, Hammer on the right. You can see him tucked up out on the outside there as they're going to be running down into Indianapolis. Hammer will have the inside, but it's going to be an interesting one to see how this works. But to be honest, I think Peters may have missed that opportunity to try and get up the inside of Aidan Young. I think he had the opportunity on the first part of the Mulsanne, he had it on the second part, and he didn't take either. And now, it's just saying.
Oh, Hammer's got back on the inside of Jasir, and Jasir's just kept it pinned to the outside. Nearly a little bit of a hip check. Jasir runs wide, now into Arnage, and Jasir makes the move stick. He kept the throttle very much pinned, and he profited from Hammer's, not, I think, unwillingness. I think it was just the fact that Hammer was like saying, this ain't going to happen. But now, Peters has found his opportunity. But what's coming up next is going to be a right-hander, I believe. No, it's not, because look how tight to the outside Vince Peters was. That's an absolutely ridiculous manoeuvre going into the Porsche Cubs. Vince Peters strikes again.
Yeah, he got past it. We're talking about there weren't much of an opportunity, and he decided to make himself one. I know they say you make your own luck, Vince Peters, but that was just really quite lucky that you got there around that, and that car stuck to the track. But they are coming to the end of the lap now, Alex, and I think it's going to be Peters.
Yeah, well, Nicholas Nolder is run away with this one, but Young and Peters going into the Ford chicane for the final time. Nolder takes the victory, his second of the season. Who's going to get the run to the line for P2? It is going to be the Belgian, the flying Belgian. It is Vince Peters picking up another second position, another step on the podium, and narrowly pips Aidan Young by just under 4/100ths of a second. Beckham Jasir finishes ahead of Philip Hammer. Jordan Strudwick takes 6th. Samuel Sproul in 7th. Thiago Pereira and Nicholas Seitz round out the top 9. Niall Killen, in the meantime, he's going to be out of the final corner. Now, is he an AM? Yes, he is. And he's going to take the victory this time around at one of the most fearsome tracks in sports car racing. In 10th position, Holger Meifert and Christian Ruzicka ran out the top 12. Alexander Redhead making up 6 positions from P19 to finish 13th, ahead of Christian Hegewald, who also made up positions, up from 22nd to finish 14th. Daniel Thomas, despite that first lap incident, recovered to finish in 15th, having qualified on the outside of the front row. Mark de Bruyn, Byron de Bello, Stephen Eckenrode ran at the top 18. We're just waiting for a few more drivers. Kenny Eckert takes 19th, ahead of Thorsten Seifert. Alexander Vilfert very shortly will be coming around the final corner and does so. Then we'll have Corey Lazarus in 22nd. Biggest mover of the first race was Holger Meifert. Started 23rd, finished in a bona fide 11th place. But Nicholas Nolder, what can you say about him? When he's out in front and he's charging away, you know, you can't say much at all.
No, he was almost, he just went. He was almost off. He was in the UK at Silverstone by the time they'd even finished the lap. He was absolutely flying. One man that was flying and unfortunately didn't fly was Glenn Humberstone. He was up like 15 places, I think it was, at one point. He had an off track, dropped him back to 8+, and then he had an incident where he actually went off and crashed the car. Now I want to just try and have a quick look and see what Humberstone was doing. And that was a little bit early. He started going off here.
Yeah, that was at Tetra. That was on the approach into Tetra Rouge, wasn't it? So he's lost it. Oh, just went straight on. No steering input. I'm not too sure if he had a slight problem with the steering wheel or the direct drive there, but that might have been a technical issue that caused the problem there for him. And here is Corey Lazarus. We're waiting for him to come out of the final chicane, which he does so. He would have started. He was 17th. He could have had a little bit more opportunity had it not been for that first lap incident. Now Glenn Humberstone coming down in towards the Porsche curves for what's going to be his final time. And Salvatore Guariento did cross the line a lap down in 24th position. Unfortunately, Danny Hugendorn and Jaime Fierro, their race was pretty much curtailed the minute we had not just one big incident on the start-finish straight, but also the first run down to the first chicane on the Mulsanne. And Glenn Humberstone, I think, will be very, very much appreciative of the fact that he's got to the end of this race, having spent quite a long time, 5 3/4 minutes in pit lane, but he's going to bring it across the line and finish in 23rd. But as James said, top 8 reverse grid means that Thiago Pereira, the number 41, will start on pole position.
Yeah, definitely will there, and it's going to be an interesting one. Nolder's got to try and come through. I'm not saying he's not going to be capable of coming through, because, well, he probably will be quite easily, but he's got a bit of a challenge in front of him. But here are, sir, the results from Heat 1.
Yeah, Nicholas Nolder takes the victory on that particular one. Vince Peters in second, followed by Aidan Young, Beckham Jasir, Philip Hammer, Jordan Strudwick, Samuel Sproul, Tiago Pereira, with Nicholas Seitz and Niall Killen and JP. I just need to change headsets for a second, but I'll leave you to run through the rest of the field.
Yeah, no worries. Nicholas Seitz is in 9th, Niall Killen 10th, Holger Mifa 11th, Christian Rizika 12th, Alexander Redhead 13th, Christian Helgevert 14th, Dan Thomas 15th, Mark de Bruin 16th, Brian DeBello 17th, and Stephen Eckerode finished down in 18th place. Then beyond that, we've got Kenny Ecker, Thorsten Sievert, Alexander Wilfert, Corey Lazareff, Glenn Humberstone, Salvatore Guariento, Danny Hugendorn, and Jaime Ferreira, of course, didn't actually get off the line at all. What we are going to do is just have a quick look at the standings currently at the moment, with Philip Hammer on 282 leading the pros, with Aidan Young, Vince Peters, Dan Thomas, Sam Sproul, Misha Berger, Jaime Fierro, Jordan Strudwick, Corey Lazarus, and Spencer Marsh rounds out our top 10. Now, we were talking in the green room before, me and Alex, and we were saying the top 4 have got an opportunity to take the championship. Now, in the AMS, you've currently got Alexander Wilfer in first place on 161, Niall Killen on 140. Of course, he's just come off the victory here for the AMS. Bjorn Ritter in third, Kenny Eckert 4th, Noah Wentz 5th, Alexander Redhead 6th, Stephen Eckerode 7th, Glenn Humberstone 8th, Adam Morrow 9th, and Brian DeBello in 10th. So that rounds out your standings. Again, it's going to be between Alexander Wilfer and Niall Killen. I think Bjorn Ritter is not here again, so it might be a little bit too far back there. So welcome back, Mr. Goldschmidt, into the booth. Good evening. So you're back again. You're all good.
Yeah, all good, all good. Just a change of headsets. Apologies for the noise in the background. My little nephew was crying his... so I have 2 respective headsets, one of which has a bit more compression on the microphone. So my apologies for that, but hey-ho. These things are meant to test us, especially when you don't have any sound deadening on the doors in the office.
No, mate, I do the same thing. At least you got doors on your office. I'm working on getting a builder to put a door on mine. But yeah, I've just managed to compress it all up. But a grid is up for race 2, sir. There you go.
So Tiago Pereira will start from pole position. Alongside him will be Samuel Sproul. Jordan Strudwick and Philip Hammer round out row 2. Row 3, Beckham Jasir and Aidan Young. Row 4, Vince Peters and Nicholas Nolder. Row 5, Nicholas Seitz and Niall Killen. Rounding out the grid, a total of 26 Porsche 992 Cup cars will be as follows: Holger Miefert, Christian Ruzicka, Alexander Redhead, Christian Hegewald, Daniel Thomas, Mark de Bruin, Byron DeBello, Stephen Eckenrode, Kenny Ecker, Torsten Seifert, Alexander Wilfert, Corey Lazarus, and then we've got Glenn Humberston, Salvatore Guariento, Danny Hugendorn, and Jaime Fierro bringing up the rear of the grid.
Yeah, let's hope they all get away cleanly. And for Pereira, it's going to be an interesting one. But just waiting for Jasir, mate, and then we're going to be go green.
Yeah, just waiting for Beckham Jasir to line up on 5th position on the grid, and then we'll be ready for a slightly longer feature race. It's 30 minutes, not 25, as the lights will start to ignite on the starting gantry here at Le Mans. The 5 lights are on, the 5 lights are out, and a massive amount of wheel spin. Hopefully everyone gets the spin a turnaround already. That's Torsten Seifert backwards into the kiddie litter. Not what the number 76 wanted. And Beckham Jasir also in the pit lane, as Tiago Pereira leads the way ahead of Samuel Sproul, who's right on his case, going through in towards the approach to the Dunlop Bridge for the first time. Jordan Strudwick has got Philip Hammer to his inside. Strudwick trying to shut the door. Hammer sees that the door is open as they're going to got the run to Tetra Rouge, and Philip Hammer is through for 3rd place. Vince Peters has already catapulted himself up from 7th position on the grid to P5, and now starting to hustle Jordan Strudwick quite significantly as they're on the run to Tetra Rouge and onto the Mulsanne Straight for the opening tour in this race. But Pereira has already started to bridge a gap between himself and Samuel Sproul to about half a second. Then it's a further second back to our 3rd place runner. And, Vince Peters. I think Vince Peters just had a big slowdown. He's down into 10th place. So what happened to Beckham Jasir is now happening to Vince Peters.
Yeah, it definitely is as well. And unfortunately for Jaime Ferreira, it looks like he's been off once more as well. But they are Hammer here up front. Currently sitting in 3rd place with Samuel Sproul in 2nd, and Jordan Strudwick literally tucked up behind him. You see the gainers and losers on the left-hand side. Currently biggest gainers, Salvatore Guariento up 6th with Rizika in 5th place, of course, and then Thomas up 5 as well. So sitting comfortably at the moment in currently 10th in the pros. So absolutely flying here. But as we've seen already, let's hope they can all make it down the straight.
Yeah, unlike we had on the first lap of the previous race, where we had quite a few cars into the side and into the back and into the front of each other on the opening lap. Nicholas Seitz has just lost a position as Daniel Thomas now makes his way up to 9th place from 15th on the grid after a sprint race to quite clearly forget for the number 160. Vince Peters is now back up to full speed. He's down into 15th. He's up the inside of Mark de Bruin in the number 52, going down the Mulsanne into Mulsanne corner. Peters will have the inside line on the number 52, who's not really going to fight it that much. He knows that Peters has got the speed to try and catch all and sundry in front, and even with the fact it's a double length race here, we're going to have probably more than likely 7 or 8 laps. As there's a bit of a moment, and Daniel Thomas has gone off the track again. Daniel Thomas has gone into the pits. It's another disaster for the 160. Not what he needed. It is 3 wide. Vince Peters on the outside of the asphalt here, going down into the run into the Indianapolis. Vince Peters again is really showcasing what he's capable of. And I know for a fact that Philip Hammer, despite being in third position, Aidan Young in 5th, they know that Vince Peters is. Oh, and there's a big incident. Big incident, and that was involving Christian, that was Hegevald there, and that was coming through out of Indianapolis. I think Peters did the wise thing and just kept out of harm's way. He kept it around the outside, and that's Byron de Bello off into the barriers off of Arnage, and that was the slightest of touches, but just went wide on his own accord.
Yeah, Thomas took a trip off to the kitty litter as well. Hegevald, as of course you saw, involved in that incident. And Brian de Bello just making trips off completely on his own there, unfortunately for him. But we can have a quick look and see what happened to Daniel Thomas here.
Yeah, let's have a look at the replay on this one. So it's going through, and is he going to lose it on his own? There's no one near him, and he's just going to turn. Oh, he just goes straight on. Just goes straight on. So whether there was a technical issue there for the 160, he's been in the pits for just close to 90 seconds, but look at this freight train that's occurring, and they're in the thick of it all, and look how close it is. No, everyone between the top 7, they're no more than just under half a second apart. Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely, it is physically insane. They're literally barely 2 seconds back to 7th place at the moment, which, you know, we make up as such a large number here in motor racing. As we know, it's not. You know, they're 1, 2, and they've all gone past you. So it's going to be a literal draft train coming down the Mulsanne. It's going to be who can hold it. Now, obviously, we've just seen it off as well. Christian Hegevald went off on the straight as well, tagged up. I think, if I'm honest, I think it was with, I don't think it was, where was he? No, Salvatore, I don't think it was Salvatore Goriente. Leave that one with me. I will keep having a look at that because there was somebody else involved in that one as well. And, yeah, not ideal. But there we go. Beckham Jasir has started from the pit lane and is now up into 14th place at the moment.
Yeah, Philip Hammer's got Jordan Strudwick towards his outside. This is the battle for P3 on the road. Aidan Young, Nicholas Nolder, our race 1 winner. They are also there in the mix. So you look at it from this perspective, the top 6 covered by just over 1.3 seconds as they head through the first of 2 chicanes. There's the touch, Strudwick's around! And Aidan Young, Nicholas Nolder, Christian Ruzicka all miss him. But Jordan Strudwick was so lucky not to get collected like we saw on the opening lap, and I think his steering might be a little bit awry because he was full left hand down. Yeah, not ideal for Jordan Strudwick. Him and Hammer having to come in together. Noda is still here involved in all of this. He's now in 7th. They're trying to make moves here, left, right and centre. Ruzicka trying to send it 3 wide, did then. Aidan Young trying to have another go. Didn't make it past Philip Hammer, but it is getting very, very spicy here on lap 2. Yeah, Christian Ruzicka started 12th, now up into P3. Aidan Young, Niall Killen. I mean, this is just an absolutely Herculean battle. It's 3 wide again as they're going to go on the run down to Mulsanne corner. They got Samuel Sproul just in front of them. Aidan Young's going to have the inside line, and he's hip checking with Christian Ruzicka, gets through, hammers to the outside, Young to the inside. Young gets through back for P3, but that was very, very much squeaky bum time there between the 3 of them, and they're all lying astern. And Thiago Pereira is doing a Nicholas Nolder. He's away by 2.2 seconds, and we've still got, what, probably the best part of just over 23 minutes remaining. And again, Ruzicka's trying to do a Vince Peters. He's looking to the outside of Philip Hammer. Aidan Young shuts the door. Ruzicka now side by side with the number 60. And Hammer, going into Indianapolis, still keeps 4th position, but Ruzicka is really looking dangerous. I'm also seeing that Vince Peters is catching Niklas Nolde. Vince Peters currently P8, was 2.5 seconds behind Niklas Nolde, and has made up a 2.5 seconds in 2 sectors. That's incredible pace from Vince Peters. He nearly loses the back end coming through out of Arnage.
Yeah, they were all fighting, weren't they, up front? And as we know, once you start fighting, you're going to put yourself under pressure from the car behind. It's more sort of efficient to basically be able to just go and race. But Aidan Young does not look like he's taking that information here with Samuel Sproul. These guys are backwards and forwards still going at it. And of course, Hammer Ruzicka's still coming in as well. Niall Killen, the highest AM, currently sitting in 6th overall at the moment. Excellent job there from Niall, but unfortunately for him, he's got the race 1 winner, Niklas Nolde, climbing up with Vince Peters behind him. So it's all going off here at Le Mans, and with 22 minutes remaining as well. It's going to be who can outdraft this train, and I wouldn't want to be, from Samuel Sproul's point of view, where he is right now, because he can drop down the order very, very quickly down that Mulsanne straight with Aidan Young, Philip Hammer.
Oh my goodness me, Samuel Sproul just lost 2nd position because he made an absolute pig's ear of the final chicane, the forward chicane. He's lost not just 1, he's going to lose 2 positions because Philip Hammer's round to his outside and gets through for P3.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's probably better for him. That's probably better for him because he's got more of a draft opportunity. So, he lost positions, but that's probably better going into where he is on the laps currently at the moment.
Yeah, very true there. I mean, if he sits where he is in 4th position and keeps Christian Ruzicka at bay for that place, the number 66 might have a better alternative, but Christian Ruzicka is trying to rip up the playbook and throw it right out of the hotel room window because he's right on the back coming out of Tetra Rouge and down the Mulsanne as we're on to lap number 3 of this race. Ruzicka's looking left, looking right. Sproul just holding station down the straightaway, but they're going to get an additional probably 5 to 8 kilometers an hour, maybe even 10 kilometers an hour slipstream. Ruzicka to the outside, in towards the first chicane, and he's got a slowdown. He has got a definitive slowdown as Hammer and Young are battling it tooth and nail for 2nd position, and through on Christian Ruzicka goes Niall Killen. This is the battle for P2, and whilst they're squabbling, Thiago Neves Pereira has still got a 2.7 second advantage. He's the one in the front of shot. Young trying to go one way, Hammer trying to follow him. Sproul is about a second off of these two in front. Then you've got Nolde, Killen, the leading Amcast car in 6th place. Ruzicka, who's got Vince Peters about 1.4 seconds behind. Jordan Strudwick in 9th. 10th is Beckham Jassir, who, as you said earlier, James, started from the pits and has made his way up to 10th position, which is due to start 5th on the grid. But Hammer is now trying to put the pressure onto Aidan Young for this P2. And now Niklas Nolde looking up the inside, going into Mulsanne. He's side by side alongside the number 66 of Samuel Sproul. And the number 9 edges ahead into the braking zone. He's going to have the inside line for this next right-hander. But is Samuel Sproul brave enough to keep it round the outside? He's going to try, but he can't get through. Nolde gets through for 4th.
Yeah, he definitely does. He went and cleared him there as well. Nicholas Seitz is another man here with Alexander Wilfer in front of him. Of course, this is an AM Pro battle. Niall Killen is another one in leading the AMs currently at the moment. Doesn't really have to be fighting Ruzicka currently. He can just basically let him go if he really wanted to, but, you know, they're racing drivers. It's probably not going to happen. So from that point of view, he's going to carry on. But Niall Killen doing an absolute stellar job here, and Aidan Young and Philip Hammer still going at each other as well. This is going to be non-stop for the next 19 minutes.
Yeah, you're very much right in that estimation, and obviously observation as well, James, because a little bit of a run wide there, courtesy of Christian Ruzicka, who's got Niall Killen about 0.3 of a second behind, but Philip Hammer looking to go better this time around to keep that consistent run of podiums and also of top 5 finishes that he's had all the way through this season. I think he might sweep the board so far this year with this season for top 5s and top 10s. His rate of consistency is just exemplary from the number 60. That's why he's currently leading the way. It's nip and tuck between him and Aidan Young for this position as they're going through the exit of the Porsche curves. Now into Corvette, and then they're going to go into the Ford chicane. And a little bit of a moment for Corey Lazarus, who's just had the briefest of off tracks. But Aidan Young still keeping Philip Hammer at bay. This is absolutely enthralling.
Yeah, to be honest, to stay where they are currently at the moment, but they're not the only one. Looks like Mark De Bruyne and poor old Glenn Humbleston has had another little ta-ta-ta, whether or not that's literally on their own. Yeah, I can have a look and see what Glenn Humbleston's been up to.
Oh, thank God that was Code Brown, new change of underwear, and possibly from some flat-spotted tyres for Glenn Humberstone, because he was completely sideways. Yeah, luckily got through that, but Mark De Bruyne also having a lock-up of his own. I thought the engine had nearly blown with that kind of lock-up there. The amount of plumes of smoke from the back axle, just simply ridiculous. But Nicholas Nolder has been closing in on the battle for second and third position. Beckham Jasir in 10th behind Jordan Strudwick has now posted again the fastest lap of the race, 3 minute 58.24. Vince Peters is climbing the order. The Belgian now up into 7th place, which is exactly where he started just over 3 laps ago. And he's within 7/10 of a second of Christian Ruzicka, who is in turn a further 9/10 behind Samuel Sprouse. So can Vince Peters, over the next 18 minutes and change, make his way a little bit further up? I wouldn't be so surprised with the pace that Vince Peters has got. 3 minute 59.28 was his last lap. He's now got an opportunity because everyone in front of him is squabbling, and Samuel Sprouse just had an off track. He's just dropped 2 positions. So that's one thank you very much from Vince Peters. And Samuel Sproul is dropping. He's going to drop out of the top 10 at this rate. Well, he luckily enough is about 6/10 behind Beckham Jasir, but Samuel Sproul just not having the best run of traction here at Le Mans. But Aidan Young is still keeping Philip Hammer at bay, and no matter what Philip Hammer does, he's not wanting to make an over exuberant pass on Aidan Young, because he knows for a fact that if he does that and they come together, what's going to be the biggest loss? For Hammer, losing points, and that's not what he wants to do, because he's right with his main championship rival, and the next one behind them is a couple of places away. More to the point, he's about 3 seconds off, but Vince Peters is gunning for 5th because Christian Ruzicka has got him for company in the battle for P5, and Vince Peters has gone through. So here comes the charge of the Belgian Light Brigade from the number 45.
Yeah, the problem is he's got 3.5 seconds to these guys here as well. This isn't an easy gap to be fulfilling from Vince Peters. And just for company, he's got Christian Ruzicka, who's been looking a little bit more menacing all the way through the race at the moment as well. And it doesn't look like he's afraid of bringing it to the battle. He's almost like, well, you might be Vince Peters, but I'm coming for you, son, regardless of who you are. You've got to try and, there's no love lost, there's no driver you go I go. It's all about we're going to go together. And Jordan Strudwick is another man that's trying to make moves as well with Samuel Sproul. Of course, Sproul dropped down a couple of positions, so it's all getting very, very tight. He's off.
Jasir's off. Jasir's off, and that is Hugendorf again into the barriers. Oh my godfathers. Nicholas Seitz is straight into the pits. That's Samuel Sproul backwards again. He's returned to garage. Oh my godfathers. You know what? At least the main thing is in this race, JP, is the fact that when they've been incidents, they have been big ones, but we haven't had the chaos like we had at lap 1 in the opening race of the night.
Yeah, but that unfortunately involved Guariento, Seitz, Jasir and Sproul. Seitz, Jasir and Sproul are all into the pits, of course. Guariento's still going, but was involved in that little incident. Ruzicka's just about to, it looked almost like Peters moved over and let him through there. I don't know if Peters might have had a slowdown. Bit of a weird place there to have a slowdown, if anything. So, unless that was a tactical switch, but maybe not. But yeah, we're back with it now. Aidan Young, Philip Hammer and Nicholas Nolder still going here, and they've got about probably maybe 2 to 3 laps if we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, when some of the drivers are running in the low 4 minutes, there's Philip Hammer right over the back bumper of Aidan Young, and he's got Nicholas Nolder for company. Nolder's going to try and... Oh, don't try and do the Alan McNish manoeuvre, please, Nicholas Nolder. You will not be on the best receiving end if you clatter into the side of Philip Hammer. And we know that these three were embroiled in that fantastic feature race battle back at the opening week of the series at Brands Hatch, and it was Aidan Young managed to stay ahead of both Philip Hammer and Nicholas Nolder. Nolder has set the fastest lap of the race, 3 minute 58.15, and he is gunning for a victory. But what's even more impressive, the pace that these three drivers have shown is Philip Hammer looks to the inside of Aidan Young. I think he's going to about just edge his way through into the chicane. No, he's not. But you look at the gap between Aidan Young and Thiago Neves Pereira, that gap at one point was 3 seconds. It's now been demolished by about 1.2. And looking at Aidan Young's previous lap, he was over a second quicker than the race leader. So I don't think this battle's just going to be for second place on the road. I think it could be for the W.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really close here. Poor old Pereira up front is probably sitting there thinking, come on, because he's got to try and hold him. But these three, if they can work together, there's no reason that these three can't catch Pereira. And there's no disrespect. I'm not saying he's slow. I'm just saying the likes of Aidan Young, Philip Hammer, Nicholas Nolder, they're all, two of these three are involved in the championship as well. So you've got to think about that. And at the end of the day, they could... Nicholas Nolder.
I think Nolder's getting a bit impatient now. He was trying to get through on Hammer, and it was nearly left front to right rear contact between the pair. They luckily got away with that by the skin of the wraps on the liveries on these cars. But again, it's just like, if Nolder keeps on fighting, this is going to bring Vince Pacers into all of this. And there's still 11 and a half minutes to go. There's Pacers, there's Ruzicka. They are very much working together. Their lap times were within 7/10 of each other. But you try and tell three drivers, come on, work together, try and catch the guy in front. And then Nolder decides, no, I'm not playing your game. I'm going to do this my way. And sometimes that can be a help. Sometimes that can be a big old hindrance. And we've seen that time and time again. And I'm looking at the gap between Vince Pacers and Philip Hammer is about 4.5 seconds. But if these three keep on squabbling like they are right now, that gap is going to literally whittle away to absolutely stone dead nothing.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful. It's not making common sense fighting with each other. You can see the leader. He's literally, you can see him. Don't do anything crazy. And this race has been crazy. These two races have been crazy. When there have been incidents, they've involved 4 or 5 cars. So, they've got to be aware of what's going on around them surroundings. The leader's there. The win is on if you stop trying to fight with each other, because the only thing that's going to do, as we saw with Nicholas Nolder there, it could end up A, dragging you into Vince Pacers and Christian Ruzicka behind you, and B, not getting anywhere near Pereira. So you've got to be a little bit sensible. And from Hammer's point of view, he's sat at the back of the three now. He's really kind of the front runner in the pack of horses. He's got to decide when he's going to go, because if he does go, he can get both of these in one straight and possibly give himself a good old bump up to Pereira as well. So from at the moment, Hammer's in the prime spot currently, going into what's going to be probably the last 2, maybe 3 laps.
Yeah, we're underway with our 6th lap here at Le Mans for week 7 of season 4 of the PCUP Challenge Europe here on the JP Broadcasting Network. And there is your current reigning, defending and champion, and also points leader coming into tonight's shenanigans here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. And he's going to get a good run coming out of Tetra Rouge. Aidan Young again just showing such a mature, calm head on young shoulders. I mean, the guy's only like in his teens, and he's able to defend against such stalwarts like Philip Hammer, like Nicholas Nolder. Nolder's trying to fling the old Nigel Mansell dummy at him if he can get the opportunity to do so going into the first chicane. But Philip Hammer's keeping them very, very honest. I've just had a look at the lap time between Philip Hammer and Vince Paters last time around, JP, that 3 minute 58.53 for Paters. Philip Hammer, 3 minute 59.37. But that gap is still stagnating at the moment at 4.5 seconds. But again, you can just see the shots on your screen, folks, does not do justice in the differential, as again Nolde is trying to force the issue. And I know for a fact that that could very much end in tears. But look at the gap between first and second. It's 6/10. Aidan Young has been dragging along Nicholas Nolde and Philip Hammer. I think Nolde is he's frustrated to try and get past, but he now sees this as his opportunity to become another new double winner this season.
Yeah, he's definitely good. He's looking... The problem is the car and the way that the car is being drove. We've got an aggressive manner where you look like you want to make an overtake every single time you get near the car in front. You've got to get past, you've got to go for it. And then you've got that more passive, we can get there, but I'll get there when I'm ready manner, where you're not making moves. But it's Nolde looks like he's almost in that aggressive, I need to get past maneuver. And currently, if he sits back and thinks about it, he doesn't have to yet. You've got another nearly 4 minute lap to try and go one more time. You know, he's got that time, he's got that patience. He's just got to use what God gave him in the middle of his head and settle down here and use your brain a little bit, because these two are going to be fighting as well. So there's plenty of pieces for you to pick up. And there we go. There's the first one.
Yeah, and Pereira's now dropped down to what is 4th place. So Pereira made a mistake. That was coming through Arnage, just went a little bit wide, saw that Aidan Young was right there. So Aidan Young now has the lead. Nicholas Nolde closing. They're at 6th gear. And again, Nolde now sees that this is his opportunity, including this one. We're probably going to have including this one, a total of 3 laps to the end of the race. So should conclude after 8 laps of this 13.626 kilometre circuit. And now the race is quite clearly on, and as a result of that, the gap between 4th and 5th has dropped below 3.8 seconds. Vince Paters sets another personal best, was actually quicker than all 4 drivers in front of him, and he was over a second, he was over 1.2 seconds quicker than Christian Ruzicka in 6th position. Jordan Strudwick has now recovered to 7th, but is about 4th position off of the 9.63 of Ruzicka. 6 laps in the books. It's going to be 2 laps to go, including this one. And Aidan Young is in the driving seat. Nicholas Nolde now is getting a bit too aggressive. He might overcook the tyres on the back end of that Porsche if he keeps on making moves like that.
Yeah, you know, we can sit here and we can repeat, but it's all down on what this is Nolde's going to do now. I think he's forgetting who's behind him as well. He's not sitting there with anyone of a slack proportion. He's sitting there with Philip Hammer. One mistake between the two, Hammer's going and will take the lead. They've got to think sensibly about this, Alex. They've got to really make up your mind. As we said before, it's going to be a game of chess. I'm going to put my king here, going to put my queen there, my rook's going to go there. For them, they've got to be where they need to be on that last lap. And what they don't want to do is too much of this little bump drafting we're seeing. You do that going into the wrong place or on a fast corner, like we're going to see literally on cue, you're going to be jeopardizing both of you, because it can turn out bad. And I've seen it turn out bad multiple times when people are trying to bump draft and then it just goes wrong.
Yeah, Nicholas Nolde has got, well, I think Aidan Young has said check, but Nicholas Nolde wanted to use the move that will provide him with the checkmate opportunity. And again, he's bump drafting him down the mid part of the Mulsanne straight into the second of the Hunaudière here at Le Mans, and Philip Hammer is just holding back. Philip Hammer, we know the caliber of his driving potential, especially with the fact he's the defending champion. He is just waiting. He is just waiting for Nolde to make that ultimate mistake of going for the move, making a pig's ear of it, and then that inadvertently might have a direct correlation to Aidan Young. Now, Aidan has won 2 races. Philip has won 2. Nolde's won 2. Paters, who's still in 5th position, who's just been passed by Christian Ruzicka. He's not going to get into the top 5 by the end of this race. because we are fast approaching what will be the final lap. There is Vince Peters, currently sitting in 6th position behind the number 963 of Christian Ruzicka as they come out of Arnage, out of Mulsanne, and they're going to be on the run down to Indianapolis. This just goes to show how strategy, as you said, you know, the slipstream is so powerful around this circuit. You know, they're on full throttle for at least over 65 to 70% of this lap, and Nicholas Nolder is just trying to put the pressure on. But Aidan Young, credit where credit is due, it's a repeat of the Brands Hatch feature 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, and if Aidan Young was a sponge, he would have soaked up your bath by now. The amount of pressure he has had to deal with from Nolder here. And the worst thing is, from Nolder's point of view, we were talking about that way the car is driven, that sort of positioning of the car, and what he's going to do. He looks like at the moment he's just trying to almost give that bully effect, where he's trying to hopefully bully him into a mistake and then make the pass a little bit more straightforward. But he's still got one more lap to go of both Mulsanne straights that he's got the opportunity for. Hammer's going to start coming in now. He's already sat back. He's already seen what's going to get going on. He knows where Nolder's moving. He's analysed what Nolder's up to. He's going to start closing in now, Alex. And I think that's the thing. He's going to go in for the chicane and he's going to start bringing that Porsche into play. He's starting to move. He's starting to seeing what's gone on. He's like, right, I can have a go here. I'm faster here. I'm going to have this. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hammer makes a good old run for this, down at least on that run down into an Indianapolis, if he hasn't already made the run before then as well. It's like a 100-meter sprint now for the final lap, and I've got a funny feeling Hammer might try and get himself involved, if he can, of course, and utilise what's happening in front of him.
Last lap of the race and of the evening here at week 7 of season 4 of the Porsche Cup Challenge.
Oh!
Mistake there from Aidan Young going into Dunlop, and that has allowed Philip Hammer to close right on in. He's looking left, he's looking right on Nicholas Nolder, but Aidan Young still managed to carry that car through the Dunlop curves, through underneath the bridge, and now they go through Tetra Rouge for what is the final time on lap number 8. Top 3 covered by less than half a second out of Tetra Rouge, down onto the Mulsanne straight for the final time on the approach into the first of the 2 Unodier chicanes here at the Le Mans circuit. The full 13.626 kilometres. And again, the bump drafting starts to appear from Nicholas Nolder. He's right up the exhaust pipes of Aidan Young, and Aidan Young still soaking up the pressure into the braking zone. Nolder has to lift off, then hard on the brakes through the chicane, gets a better run out of it, but he was a little bit wide coming through the second part of the chicane. If he's not too careful with that kind of movement on that car, Nicholas Nolder will get a slowdown penalty, and that will put him out of the top 3, let alone competing for the victory down the midpoint. Nolder to the outside. Is he going to get the side draft? Yes, he is. Who's going to get the run into the chicane? It could very well be Nolder's going to get through. He's got the inside line, but Young is still keeping it around the outside. Young retains the lead into the second chicane. Such bravery from the 427. Nicholas Nolder has tried everything, and Aidan Young has said, this immortal line, you can do better than that to get past me, sunshine, and he knows it. But again, the bump drafting rapidly occurs as soon as they get halfway through now into Mulsanne. Nolder's going to the outside. Hammer is still waiting. Thiago Pereira is coming back into this as the timer has officially hit 0 out of Mulsanne. Now the run down to Indianapolis. Nolder, no matter what he tries here, JP, Aidan Young seems to have a complete answer for. But now Nolder has got the race lead, but Young is going to have the inside line into the run into Indianapolis right now. But what's Hammer going to throw at this?
Well, Hammer's going to try something. He's got to be trying something, because there are literally not many really in conjunction corners left that he's going to be able to make a move past 2 possible cars here. Aiden Young is still holding this. They're coming down into Arnage now. Young's gone a little bit defensive on the inside. That's going to jeopardize his exit, of course. He needs to now try and get that car on the gas. Hammer's coming back into this. Pereira's coming back in as well. We've now got a 4-car train, and they haven't got many corners to go here. We have got the Porsche curves, the Corvette curves, the 4 curves. It's all done. Nolder on the outside. He's almost on the grass. It's going to run him here, Alex.
Yeah, this is going to be into the Porsche curves right now, and Nicholas Nolder has got through, or has he? Because Aiden Young has got a lot of momentum going through into the Porsche curves, and there's Philip Hammer. Philip Hammer right on the back bumper of the 427, could be gunning for P2, but Nicholas Nolder struck in one of the most unusual places here at Le Mans on the run to the Porsche curves. Nicholas Nolder timed it to absolute perfection on the final lap of the race, and now here comes Philip Hammer. Thiago Pereira is swarming all over the back bumper of the defending champion, but it is going to be 2 wins for 2, a new double winner out of the final corner. It's going to be the number 9. It's Nicholas Nolder, but he's had a slowdown. Aiden Young picks up the victory on the final corner. Nolder denies the number 9.
Oh no!
Wow. You couldn't have called it, could you? Couldn't have called that at all. Nolder, I think he just... track limits, ping, slow down. That's it. You've just been served. And Aiden Young takes the victory. Wow. I mean, we've had it all this season, and we've had... out of one of the what is one of the longest races so far this season, it was down to the wire. Nolder had done it. Nolder had done it. But then, yeah, it just goes to show. And Stuart Rice, commentator's curse, what's that? I just believe in fate of circumstance. Nolder probably knew that he had a slowdown coming and probably tried to get away, but it was too little too late. He'd done the move. And Aiden Young was just like, okay, another victory for me then, thank you very much. So that's 3 wins for Nolder, 3 wins. We're going to see the instant replay coming through into the final couple of corners. And this is where it happens. And there you can see he slows down, he pulls to the inside, he knows that the victory's been denied and taken from his grasp. And Aiden Young has picked up his 3rd win of the season. And what's more, it's another feature race.
Yeah, Aiden Young doing an absolute flyer. Now, normally I've got my own little pieces of paper with my little notes on here, and I write down the winner. I wrote down Nolder as he was coming through the Corvette curves and into the Ford curves as the winner. But yeah, Young, Hammer and Pereira both got him, and slowdowns are ever so cruel, ever so cruel here. And unfortunately for him, that was the cropper. He had that final chicane to try and make that clean move through, and he just couldn't quite get it. And unfortunately, slow down for Nicholas Nolder. Yeah, gutted. Absolutely
well, let's have a look
gutted.
at the results from our what has been a dramatic final race of week 7 of season 4 here on the PCUP Challenge Europe. Aiden Young picks up his 3rd victory of the season by just under 3/10 ahead of the defending champion, who continues his run of consistency and thereby will continue to head the field going into week 8 next week at the home of British Motorsports, Silverstone. Thiago Pereira managed to take the final step of the virtual rostrum, so well done to Thiago. Had led the race until a mistake through, I think it was Arnage, just after the halfway point. Nicholas Nolder takes 4th. Vince Peters, another top 5 for the Belgian in P5. Christian Ruzicka, Jordan Strudwick, Niall Killin, again, takes another AM class victory and finishes, what's more, in 8th position. So well done, Neil, in the 193. Corey Lazarus, Danny Hugendorn have a better run this time, finishing 9th and 10th. Jaime Fierro in 11th. Alexander Vilfort, Salvatore Guariento, Kenny Eckert, and Christian Hegevald round out the top 15 overall. Mark de Bruyn in 16th, ahead of Alexander Redhead, Byron de Bello, Stephen Eckenrode running at the 19, and then also Daniel Thomas managed to return to the track after 15 minutes and 50 in the pit lane, finishing 21st behind Glenn Humberston. with Samuel Sproul, Beckham Jasir, Nicholas Seitz, Holger Meifert and Torsten Seifert rounding out the grid, but several of those drivers were early casualties. Nicholas Seitz in the pits for 37 minutes, Holger Meifert 27.5 minutes, and Torsten Seifert out on the opening lap. But James, what can I say? I mean, after Le Mans, we've now got the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone next week.
Yeah, we have as well, and what an interesting one it's going to be, because if it's anything like this, this is going to be absolutely amazing. This championship is coming down to a fight and a half here, and one that is getting more and more spicy as this season goes on, and it's going to be even closer in the championship with Young and Hammer as well. Don't forget they're sitting 1 and 2 currently at the moment, so it's going to be even closer.
Yeah, big thank you as always to Blackout Electrical Solutions in Brisbane in Australia, serving the South Queensland area, who specialise in commercial and industrial renovations and fit-outs, analysis of power systems and replacements of switchboards. That is it from us here on the JP Broadcasting Network with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and my partner in crime, who's also been manning the cameras tonight, Mr. James Parfitt. Next week, we head from the centre of world motorsport at Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans to the home of British motorsport to Silverstone for week 8. Until next time, thanks for watching, see you later, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.